I'm Nate Strong, and welcome to the GasCast. Today I'm joined with
Brian,
Phil, Sam, and Glenn.
And we will be talking about landfills. I guess I'd like to start off with, what do y'all know about landfills?
well, there's probably a lot of them with a lot of trash in it, which is nasty.
That is true.
About all I know.
Probably has way too much things we could recycle in there.
Correct.
No, I was gonna say that. Just everything goes in there. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Funnily enough, I worked kind of on top of a landfill for a summer job a couple times, running an information booth for a forest reserve, and I just have some information still. So this is the landfill by my house. So it ran as an active landfill from 1974 to 1996, and then afterwards it was covered up for a few years, and then transformed into a nature preserve area, and it produces gas. So this particular one was projected to produce gas for 20 years, and that ended in 2016, but it's still producing gas. So through its its prime time, it produced about 9 megawatts per year, which is enough to power about 7,500 homes per year and is equivalent to about 84,000 barrels of oil. Nowadays, it's producing more like 5,000, 5,500 houses per year's worth of electricity. So they're just kind of still doing it until it runs out, it seems. Yeah. So very specific.
So the gas collection mechanism is actually pretty interesting. So a landfill, a lot of people probably haven't looked at the mechanics of a landfill. Its makeup is more or less 3 parts. There's the protective layer on the bottom to help seepage from liquid sources from the bottom. There's tubings and clay layer, and then we've got the trash in the middle, main part. That's what decomposes into gas. And then we've got a protective layer over top to catch the gas, and we've got tubes going down into the trash to collect that gas and turn that into fuel. These have been going pretty well recently. A lot of landfills have these currently. In the U.S., Indonesia and developing countries do not have these. They don't have a protective layer on the bottom, so they get a lot of in-ground seepage, which kind of destroys the water, the groundwater, and they've got a lot of emissions. But U.S. is still leading in emissions for landfills, that is. I guess, do you think that landfill gas collection is the solution to landfill emissions, or do we want to somehow cut them off completely instead of siphoning them?
Oh, no. I think it's definitely the way to go, because if you think about it, when it's collecting, so it's producing electricity, and it's providing electricity to probably some area right around it. And in producing electricity, it burns off methane, usually methane, a greenhouse gas. Otherwise, if they were getting electricity from most likely another source, most likely coal or another gas, they'd be burning it and producing more greenhouse gases instead of converting the methane into energy.
Is methane the main greenhouse gas that is emitted from landfills?
It's half and half. There's half CO2, half methane.
Oh, wow, half and half. Well, I actually learned a pretty interesting fact that methane is a 290% more potent greenhouse gas than CO2. So if it is half and half, methane is...
It's a lot. It has more global warming potential.
Yeah. Actually, I've got some stats from 2010 that say that the million meters metric tons of landfill emissions, global, was 800 million, around that. But global emissions were 46 billion million metric tons.
Damn.
And so 800 is 1.7%, but I don't know if that takes into account methane emissions as well. It could be like 800 CO2 and then 800 million metric methane as well, which would be pretty damaging.
Yeah.
But 1.7%, do you think that's a big enough problem to warrant like scrutiny?
Are you saying it's 1.7%
Global.
all global greenhouse gas emissions?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, 1.7% globally that's, even though it sounds like a small number, that's still a huge number.
And for the burning of the methane too, it's even a good thing because when you burn methane, it just produces H2O and CO2. So it converts this really high potential, this gas that has a high global warming potential, into just water, which is fine, and then CO2, which has a lower capacity to heat up the atmosphere. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty clean energy. So, for developing countries, do you think that gas, like the gas collection system, is viable? Like, would we have to go in and help? To help with a global solution, is gas collection viable? Would they have the infrastructure to process it, or would we have to think of something better or more?
Well,
I don't know if they have the infrastructure to do it.
I highly doubt a developing country would have the money available to invest in infrastructure to collect these gases. So to answer your question, I think globally, if we wanted to do that, developed countries such as the U.S. would probably have to go in and help them develop this infrastructure, to answer your question.
Yeah, and then I've got a bit here that some people are actually looking into, instead of landfill, like dumping instead, they've been looking into reducing waste through plasma. They would gasify said solids, which would turn bio into a certain gas that would be cleaner than natural gas to burn, and all the solids into liquid solids, which would be easier to recycle. Is that too idealistic to just have a center to like gasify these things and put all of like U.S. Waste through certain facilities instead of just dumping it? It seems like it would be a longer process than simply like placing them somewhere.
I mean, longer process, like short term, maybe. I mean, the landfill process takes like decades to like stop decomposing.
It definitely sounds like a more complicated process, but
And a more expensive one.
Yeah, especially the red tape surrounding it. It's actually costs a lot more to dispose of waste through this means, but that's just policy. So
yeah, I honestly don't think the U.S. will ever move away from landfill dumping. Sadly, I think it's just the most like inexpensive and most viable option for us.
Do you know how many landfills are in the U.S.?
it's like,
So it seems the U.S. has about 3,091 active landfills
Holy crap.
and over 10,000 old municipal landfills. So I guess those are the ones that are covered up, and then the active ones that are like actively being dumped into.
oh, right.
So I haven't actually like been near or seen like an active landfill like ever. I mean, I guess I do live in a residential area that would not be.
When I commute here, there's a active landfill on.
Is it active?
I think so. I looked it
It
up.
smells like a lot.
Yeah, it's really stinky, and I think they've got a site open that's like old landfill, new landfill. So I think it's ongoing.
What do they do with like the closed ones? Like what happens to those?
They're just power, right? You just suck up gas from them.
They like convert it into like
Yeah.
renewable gas.
And Glenn, you said how long does it so non-active landfill, how long does it still produce gas for?
So the one that I worked at is active for 22 years, And then once it was converted into like a forest reserve and they started taking gas out, it was projected to keep reducing for 20 years, but it's still producing 3 years after that 20 years went up with only like a 30% reduction in gas production.
It's not that much compared to, I mean, for how long it's been. I feel like the reduction should have been at least like 75
Yeah,
to 80%.
the whole reduction process was projected to take, the 20 years. So it would have stopped producing at 20 years, but it's still producing
Right.
a lot. So update on the DeKalb landfill, I do think it is still active, yeah.
3,000 U.S. landfills. It's like a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot of garbage.
I always pictured there just being like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 like giant landfills like anywhere at a given time.
Right.
So I have a little thing, there's a little graphic, I think. That's pretty old. There is a map from Zero Waste America of each state and their number of landfills, but it's from 1999. And
20 years ago.
So either way, I'll just read some of them off. So Illinois, 56, and I'm assuming these are active landfills. So Illinois is 56, Indiana 45, Wisconsin 46, New York 28, California 188.
Jeez.
Ooh, Alaska 322. Damn. Texas 181.
Why would Alaska have that many landfills?
Maybe they're small. They could be just really small ones.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
I mean, there's still less.
It's also a really massive state.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might be shipping trash there, I suppose.
How long do landfills usually stay active for?
Let's look it up. It seems the expected lifespan of a landfill is 30 to 50 years,
Seems kind of short, honestly.
which is good. I mean, hopefully, sooner the better we can
Right.
once all the gas stops reducing, we can hopefully. Does anyone know what they plan to do with them afterwards? Do they plan once they stop producing gas? Do they plan to open it up and take all of the decomposed trash out and somehow do something with it?
I assume that would probably be a policy in the future. Go
Right.
in and try and find recyclables.
What is the end goal for landfills?
I don't think when landfills were developed, they were thinking about an end goal, honestly. I think
Temporary
it's
Yeah.
just, where do we put all this trash?
Would it be more effective to burn the trash than just collect the gas from the landfills? Would that produce more energy than methane?
Produce more greenhouse gas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely way
it's-
more greenhouse gas.
It's a better solid trash solution, but it's not a better emission
Yeah,
solution.
it's releasing just regular smoke, and then there's going to be a bunch of plastic and
Yeah.
other stuff, metals too, because the filter. It's not just landfills aren't just what is it called? Compostable things,
Yeah.
biodegradable things.
Yeah.
Landfills aren't just biodegradable things. They're not that great at sorting everything.
Yeah,
So there's
exactly.
a lot of,
so how would they even sort anything?
A lot of developing countries actually have freelance what they call pickers, which go in and salvage recyclable things and then sell them they're not hired by the landfills, but they're allowed to go in and pick things up. And studies have concluded that that's a 30% rise in
It seems like it'd be a rise in gas production per volume of trash. Because they're taking out the recyclable stuff and condensing, making a denser.
it just makes
thing.
the things overall more environmentally friendly with less non-biodegradable in the landfill.
But speaking of burning just the trash instead of just burning the methane, so that would leave behind burnt stuff. Also, for the plasma landfill solution, it also does leave behind a slag, which I was trying to look up what exactly it is, but I imagine it's just like vaporized solids.
Overall, I think we need some better solutions to this landfill problem, because we can't just keep putting. We're just going to be generating more and more trash as time goes on, and I mean, the plasma solution could be a solution, because, I mean, the landfill solution I just don't think is going to work out in about 100 years.
I mean, if we solve the energy problem first, then we could just actually, the whole joke notion of ship it to the sun is viable if we solve the energy problem first.
Isn't that really expensive though?
Yeah, well, but if we make the energy fine, then, you know.
Yeah. I think like we need to cut down on single-use products, stuff that we throw out all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
for like the recycle slogan, it's reduce, reuse, recycle. So like reduce the things that you use, reuse the things that you do use, and then recycle stuff that you can't use anymore.
That was the GasCast. I've been Nate.
And I'm Brian.
I'm Phil.
Sam.
I'm Glenn.
That's it, dude.
Goodbye,
Signing
everyone.
off.